The Master Sword, also known as the Blade of Evil's Bane and the Sword of Time, is a recurring sword in the Legend of Zelda series. It's easily one of the most iconic symbols of the Legend of Zelda series, often appearing in other video games. Additionally, the Master Sword has been featured in several Zelda games' logos. I wanted one, but I didn't have to go through all the nonsense of collecting pendants, and I'm definitely not the hero of time. Here's how I made my very own Master Sword. To start the project, I turned to my trusty 3D printer to do the bulk of the work. I'll put a link to the files in the description. I use a FlashForge Creator Pro. It turns out beautiful prints time and time again without fail, and I run mine pretty much constantly too, and it never really quits. If you happen to be in the market for a 3D printer, I highly recommend it. I'm thinking of doing a review for this channel about it at some point, so let me know if that's something you'd like to see. After all the parts were printed, I ran dowels through the pieces and glued them together. I really like that this sword was designed this way. The wooden dowels run the length of the sword, making it incredibly strong. Once the glue was dry, I started with the long, tedious process of sanding the sword smooth. I started with a quick once-over of 220 grit and then moved to 400 grit. If you're going to do a project like this, I highly recommend using a respirator when sanding the plastic, as well as for painting. Now that the sword was nice and smooth, I hit it with a few layers of primer so that the paint would adhere to the sword better. Once the primer dried, I did a quick light wet sanding with 400 grit to smooth out any bumps that may have popped up during the priming. Next I moved on to painting the blade. I used a regular silver spray paint first. After a few coats of silver, I moved on to a metallic chrome to give a nice shine to the blade. I let the blade dry, and after taping off the blade and wrapping the rest in tinfoil to protect from overspray, I moved on to the hilt. I applied quite a few coats of a nice deep blue and left the sword to dry. Once the two base coats of the sword were finished, it was time for the detail work. Traditionally, the Master Sword from the Ocarina of Time doesn't have a gold inlay on the Triforce that's on the blade, but I thought it would look really nice, and I think I was right. I used some gold enamel paint to do the gold detailing on the hilt and in the Triforce inlay. After the detailing was dry, I gave the sword over 5 coats of acrylic gloss to protect the paint. I may even apply a few more coats because it is a sword after all, and even though I don't plan on fighting anyone with it, I don't want the paint coming off when sliding it in the sheath. Okay, now before I go rolling the video of the finished product, I just wanted to say that if you're enjoying this video, drop it a like. Your support really helps. You can also subscribe to the channel for more videos like this in the future, and as a little taste of what's to come, I want to show you this little beauty I've been working on from a game called Overwatch. If you're interested in more builds like this, be sure to subscribe so that you don't miss out. You can also follow the channel on Twitter at BrainBeanGaming, and without any further ado, let's take a look at the finished product. Thanks for watching, guys. I'll see you next time.